we'll be looking into a little city in France called Le Mans. Le Mans has a population currently of 143,000, and it's famous for a couple different things. One of them is their 24-hour car race, which is one of the most grueling car marathons in the world. One of the world's celebrities born in Le Mans is Jeremy Chaplin, a French footballer. Other than him, the list of famous celebrities from there is quite short. Topping the list of celebrities from Le Mans, though, is the Papin Sisters, two sisters who committed a murder known for its brutality, viciousness, and gore. The year was 1955. Thousands gathered for the car race marathon in Le Mans. Little did they know that partway into the race there'd be a tragic accident, known as one of the worst accidents in car racing history. This day would go down in infamy for Le Mans. But approximately 20 years before this accident, there was a tragedy of a different kind. Murder. The sisters, Christine and Lea, were incarcerated for murder in 1933, for murdering their domestic employer and her daughter. The sisters came from a troubled home. Their mother was Clemence Dare and their father was Gustave Papin. Rumors had gone around town that Clemence was having an affair with her boss. In October of 1901, when she became pregnant, Gustave married Clemence. They had baby Amelia, who arrived in February 1902. But Gustave had always wondered if Clemence was still having an affair. Because of this, he decided he would get a job in another town to take Clemence away from Le Mans and her possible lover. 2 years after Amelia was born is when Gustave announced he was taking a new job in a different city. His wife, Clemence, threatened to commit suicide rather than leave Le Mans, and this only served to strengthen Gustave's suspicion that she was indeed having an affair. Over the years, their relationship became more and more volatile. Reports indicate that Clemence showed no affection for her children or her husband, and that she was an unstable individual. Because of these tensions, Gustave turned to alcohol. When Amelia was 9 or 10 years old, Clemence sent her to the Bon Pasteur Catholic orphanage. Later, information surfaced that her father had raped her. Amelia Papin joined the convent and became a nun. However, Clemence had also given birth to 2 other children, both of which she and her husband had sent away at an early age. Christine was the difficult one. She was born in 1905 and was the middle child of the family. Soon after she was born, Christine's parents gave her to her father's sister, who was happy to have her. Christine remained with her aunt for 7 years, after which she entered a Catholic orphanage. Although Christine wanted to join the convent, her mother would not allow it, and later placed her into an employment. With an average intelligence, her personality was stronger and more open than Lea's. Her employers reported that she could be insolent at times, but nonetheless, she was a hard worker and known as a good cook. Lea was the shy one. Born in 1911, she was the youngest child of 3 girls. Evaluations indicated that Lea was slightly lower intelligence than her sister, and she was introverted, quiet, and obedient. From infancy, Lea grew up with her mother's brother until he died, and then she went to a religious orphanage until she was 15 years old. In 1926, the sisters were fortunate enough to land a domestic live-in job together in Le Mans in the home of the Lancelin family. Mr. Lancelin, a retired lawyer, his wife Leonie, and their adult daughter Genevieve. Christine served as the family cook while Lea cleaned the house. By most accounts, they were good girls and model housemates. Every Sunday they went to church, and they had reputations as being diligent workers with good behavior. They were, however, known to be unsocial. Christine and Lea preferred their own company over that of others. Every day they had a 2-hour work break after lunch, but instead of going out to enjoy the day, they preferred to stay with each other locked away in their bedroom. By 1933, the Papin sisters had been with the Lancelins for 6 years. Christine was 27 years old and Lea was 21. On February 2nd of that year, Mrs. Lancelin and her daughter arrived home at 5:30 to a mostly dark house. It was the second time in a week that the malfunctioning iron caused the electricity fuse to blow while Christine was ironing. Oddly, the iron had just returned that day from the repairman who said that he could find nothing wrong with it. When Christine informed Miss Lancelin that the iron broke again, the madame was angry and a dispute broke out. Of course, there had been other difficulties in the past. Mrs. Lancelin was a real stickler for a job well done. She would even put on her white gloves to check for dust and regularly gave feedback about Christine's cooking and made Lea go and clean when she missed a spot. But this time was different. Christine was the first to snap. At the top of the first floor landing, Christine lunged at Genevieve and tore out her eyes with her fingers. Lea quickly joined in the struggle and grabbed Mrs. Lancelin. Christine ordered her to gouge out the madame's eyes. Then Christine ran downstairs to the kitchen to get a knife and hammer. She came back upstairs, where both girls bludgeoned and sliced the mother and daughter. The Rabid sisters also used a pewter pitcher that sat on a table at the top of the stairs to bash the heads of the Lancelin ladies. Experts estimate that the incident lasted about 30 minutes. Mr. Lancelin and his son-in-law arrived at the house sometime between 6:30 and 7 p.m. The door was bolted from the inside, and the men were unable to enter, although they knew someone was home. The house was completely dark, except for a faint glow coming from the upper level. It seemed highly suspicious, so they went straight to the police for help. The police arrived, and when they entered the house, they found the scene at the top of the stairs. Most of the injuries were on the faces and heads of the victims. However, the daughter's legs and buttocks revealed deep knife lacerations. Both women were horribly unrecognizable, as their faces had been completely demolished. Teeth had scattered about the room, and one of Genevieve's eyes lay on the top stair. Investigators later found the other eye under her body. Hidden within the folds of the madame's neck scarf were both her eyes. Madame Lancelin was lying on her back with her legs apart and only one shoe on. Genevieve's body was facing down. Next to her right hip lay a bloody kitchen knife with a dark handle. Blood covered the entire scene and had splattered the walls 2 meters above the bodies. After police discovered the bodies, they searched the rest of the house. They actually thought that the maids were possibly murdered as well. They had to get a locksmith to the scene in order to unlock the door to the Papin sisters' rooms. But they found the girls in bed together with their robes on. Some sources say they were nude. Next to the bed on a chair lay the bloody hammer with bits of hair stuck to it. Police asked them what happened, and the sisters immediately confessed to the crime. The police arrested the sisters and took them into custody. Christine became distressed and exhibited desperate fits when the police separated the girls. Eventually, the authorities allowed a meeting between the sisters. And reportedly, Christine behaved and spoke in a way that implied a sexual relationship between them. The court appointed 3 doctors to administer psychological evaluations to the sisters in order to determine if they were sane. Christine exhibited indifference toward the world, and she indicated she had no attachments except to Lea. The doctors reported that Christine's affection for her sister was of family devotion and that they did not detect any kind of sexual context in their relationship. On the other hand, Lea looked up to Christine as a big sister or mother figure. The evaluation came back stating that the sisters had no pathological mental disorders and no family history. The doctors deemed the girls completely sane and indicated that their unusually close union caused the girls to act out together. The brutal double murder enraged the city and shocked all of France. Psychotherapists, philosophers, and researchers have since argued about the motivation of the girls. Was their crime motivated by poor working conditions and prejudice? Others believe the girls to be psychopaths who had suffered because of the relationship with their parents. Was there something dark rooted in the childhood of the sisters? The allegations that their father had raped their other sister come to mind. One doctor at the trial testified that the girls could not be in their right minds, that their personalities had fused together in some way, that there was no Christine and there was no Lea, that they had fused into a third identity. There was another rumor that Mrs. Lancelin discovered the girls were having sex, incestuous homosexual sex. Did they murder her because of something she saw? Without her sister, Christine did not do well in prison. She exhibited bouts of madness and became severely depressed and despondent. Eventually, she refused to eat. Prison officials transferred her to a mental institution, but she continued to starve herself until she died in May of 1937. Lea Papin, on the other hand, demonstrated exemplary behavior and served only 8 years of her 10-year sentence. In 1941, she became a free woman. She lived with her mother in Nantes, France, under an assumed name, and worked in a hotel doing housekeeping, ironically. On some accounts, she died in 1982. However, in 2000, while making a film In Search of the Papin Sisters, Claude Ventura claimed to have found Lea living in a hospice center in France. The woman had suffered a stroke and was partially paralyzed and unable to speak. She passed away in 2001. Thank you for watching Murder, Monsters, and Mysteries. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, as we'll be posting weekly.